Okay, welcome back, everybody. This is another episode of the Exodus Project. I'm your host, Steve Eisenhower. As always, I am joined with my good friend, Rabbi Stuart Federer, author of
Hello.
Judaism and Christianity: A Contrast. Can we see this?
Yep.
Yep, available in English and Spanish. Check the description of this video for your own copy. Helps me out, helps him out, helps everyone out, and you're going to learn something along the way. So, Rabbi, what do you have to say about today's presentation?
I am never, it never ceases to amaze me the need that some people have to constantly have their religion validated outside of their own religion.
Right.
Okay. It's like how many times do you hear somebody say, "Oh, here's an image of Jesus on a piece of toast." Okay, here, look, I threw this out of my house and it fell into the shape of Jesus.
Right.
By the way, that tells you more about them than it does about whatever they're looking at. Because they assume that any picture of any man that's got a beard must be Jesus.
Right. It could have been Jim Morrison. Come on.
It can't be their old uncle who passed away 30 years ago.
Right.
It's got to be Jesus.
Right. I mean, long hair and a beard. Why couldn't it be Charles Manson? Like, it could be anybody.
Yeah, seriously.
Seriously. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. But they automatically assume, because their religious perspective is Christian, that whatever they see is therefore Christian.
Right. I mean, that's exactly why we see in Isaiah, who can you liken me to? Right.
Right.
God's not a man, people. So,
yeah.
Before we get started, everyone, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notifications, give Rabbi Federer and I a big thumbs up. And like I said, check that description for any resource you may need.
So, have you ever seen anybody say, "Hey, I have the bones of Moses in my box. Let me show you to you"?
I haven't.
Okay, or I'll be happy to sell them to you. You go to Europe and you'll find all these, whatever they're called, relics of the saints and relics of Jesus and relics of Mary and all these relics.
Right.
It's like the faith is so weak. They have to have tangible things to touch before they can have their faith validated.
Right. What was Constantine's mother, Helen, right? I mean,
right.
That was like her whole shtick was like finding the wood that was the cross, and like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, just went out of her way to find relics to support faith, as if there weren't like tens of thousands of people crucified in the first century. But you found the one cross it was.
Right. That happened to be that. Steve, the closest we get to an image of Moses is Charlton Heston.
Yeah. Yep.
In the movie.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go to that comment that started our conversation.
All right, everyone. So we're going to title this "The Crucifix Fish," an Exodus Project and Rabbi Stuart Federer presentation.
Da, 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 da.
So here's the comment. So someone commented on one of my recent videos trying to, apparently sway me from my conclusions by saying, "Why did God make a perpetual memorial to Yahshua on day 5 of creation? Look up the crucifix fish and what the crucifix fish reveals." So I did so, and I responded. I tried to be as polite as possible, and I said, "I read the article. Please don't be offended, but I actually found it humorous that people base their faith on fish anatomy rather than the Holy Scriptures." So that just shows a lack of true biblical support for the Christian claim.
It also shows weak faith. It really does. If you have to be able to see Jesus in a fish head, in a fish bone,
right?
Okay, and when you show it up on screen, I don't see Jesus in it, but that's the veil over my mind that prevents me from seeing Jesus in everything in the world. Okay, but when you pull up the,
you bring it up now?
Yeah, why not? To me, that looks like the underside of a truck where you have the drive shaft intersecting with the axle.
You want to know what it looks like?
The tires. What?
The female reproductive system.
You are sick.
No, like the ovaries and the like when
Yeah.
you see like an anatomy picture, that's what it
Right,
looks like.
right.
You are sick.
Steve, two sticks fall over each other and makes a cross, and everybody goes, "Look, it's a cross."
Right. Why is it not a representation of Switzerland? You know what I mean? Like
Right, exactly. It just, to me, it's just weak faith. That's all it is. And there's so many biblical injunctions against doing, in my opinion, exactly this kind of thing.
Agreed.
So,
Definitely.
what do you want to pull up first?
Oh, we'll just go to whatever's next.
Okay.
Is God a fish?
Well, they think that the ichthos, okay, the fish symbol that's Christian.
Yep.
Okay. Uh, the reason is because if you take the first letter in the Greek of the Jesus Christ, King of the Jews, or something like that, you take the first letter, it spells the word fish. Okay. And there's one legend, I'm not sure if it's true. It might be true. I don't know. But that one person would draw an X, and then another person would take the one side of the X and basically connect it, and it would make a fish symbol, because it was a secret way of saying to another person, "I'm a Christian. Are you a Christian?" And if you drew the X and they completed it to make it look like a fish, then it was their way of saying, "Yes, I am a Christian," or something. Why they would have to go out of their way to do that? You just go, I'm a Christian.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
By the way, you know how the Jews respond?
Nice. I know how I respond.
How?
I won't do that.
Let's be nice.
Yeah.
So Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 18, the likeness of anything that creeps on the ground, the likeness of any fish that is in the waters beneath the earth. Okay. The context of Deuteronomy 4:18 is every other paganism on planet creates an image of
They're gods.
of their gods. Mm-hmm. And it says, don't be like them. Don't look how they worship their God and worship me the same way. A lot of Deuteronomy is about the Jews going into the promised land, and instead of being nomadic and going place to place to place, so they're really only rubbing elbows with their fellow Jews, when they take over the promised land, they're going to be rubbing elbows with pagans.
Right.
And so a lot of Deuteronomy is, when you go into the promised land, don't become like the pagans that you're living among, mm-hmm. because they do these things.
Right.
Now, I'm not sure what's missing, but if that's verse 19 after verse 18, let me look. The likeness of anything that creeps on the ground, the likeness of any fish that's in the waters beneath the earth, heaven, looks like there's a missing something there. But the point is what's there in 19. When you see the sun and the moon and the stars, all the hosts of heaven, you be drawn away and bow down to them and serve them, things that the eternal your God has allotted to all these people under the whole heaven. Okay. If it says that God gave it to the other people, that they can do this paganism, this idolatry, this soothsaying, this trying to find their God in all sorts of things as images, right. They can have it, not you. Mm-hmm. You Jews have God. You Jews have me, is what it's saying. You Jews have God. They can have it. I gave it to them. It's theirs, but not yours. You're Jews. Right. Is there a verse after this 19?
Not from Deuteronomy 4. We have the next Deuteronomy passage.
All right. Okay.
The occult practices.
Deuteronomy 18. When you enter the land of the eternal your God is giving you, do not learn to imitate the detestable ways of the nations there. Let no one be found among you who sacrifices their son or daughter in the fire. Imagine that. God is saying, don't become like the pagans who kill their child for their God. Right. So Jesus, God's son, God said, oh, I changed my mind. Now let's do exactly like the pagans do. And it's going to be my son that we're going to, no, come on. Right. Mm-hmm. Let no one be found among you who sacrifices their son or daughter in the fire, who practices divination or sorcery, interprets omens. Right. engages in witchcraft, casts spells, or who is a medium or spiritist who consults the dead.
Right.
Anyone who does these things is detestable to the eternal. Because of these same detestable practices, the Lord your God will drive out those nations before you. They lost their land because they were doing these things like killing their children for their God.
Mhm.
The nations you will dispossess listen to those who practice sorcery and divination. But as for you, the eternal your God has not permitted you to do so. The eternal your God will raise up for you a prophet like me among you. From among your fellow Israelites, you must listen to him. And who would that be?
Yehoshua ben Nun.
Joshua, the son of Nun, clearly.
I can pause you for 1 second, though.
Okay,
I did an interview recently on here, one of my Leaving Idolatry shows.
sure.
And the fella was actually a Norse pagan, like worshipped Odin, you know?
Yep,
So ain't that cool? Up in the far reaches of, like, he's in
right,
really far
right.
north Canada, where there's actually a little bit of them there. Found
Wow,
Judaism. Ain't that incredible?
that
But
is incredible because he doesn't even have a background
doesn't even have a
in
background.
Bible.
Has statues he
Okay,
made in his backyard. Like,
look, Christians may have a background, even if it's distorted and perverted and idolatrous, the way they interpret our Hebrew scriptures, but
right,
at least they're acquainted with the Hebrew scriptures somewhat, even if
right,
erroneously, even if they're in error.
exactly.
Okay,
What I
but
wanted to mention is he admitted, he goes, part of our religion was seeing omens of our gods in nature, and that normally had to do with different animals and so on and so forth. So I have it from the mouth of someone who experienced this type of
right,
religion firsthand.
right, exactly. So they
You know?
see an omen in this fish head,
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
or is it the head of the fish that does that,
Yeah,
or is
yeah.
it
It's the skull. It's the skull.
skull?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. All right. The,
Anything else to talk about
the
on this? On this?
the the Bible is explicitly clear. Pagans do it, you don't.
Right. Exactly.
Then now let's go make some rye toast, and we'll see Jesus in the toast.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
And is there another? Yeah. Here we go.
Yeah. Yep.
Leviticus 19 verse 26. You shall not eat any flesh with the blood in it. You shall not interpret omens or tell fortunes. Divination is the practice of seeking knowledge of the future or the unknown by supernatural means. The use of bones for divination, sometimes called osteomancy, has been performed by cultures the world over for thousands of years. And that's exactly what God is preaching against when in 1926. Okay,
Right.
you shall not interpret omens or tell fortunes.
Right. And let's think about that. Everyone's seen a movie where something like a witch doctor or something like that is going on. They throw some bones on the table and tell you your fortune.
Right,
How is that any different than cracking open the skull of a fish and seeing a crucifix in there and saying, "Oh, look, it's Jesus"?
right,
How is that any different?
right.
It's like affirming your faith, right?
Actually, it wasn't Jesus. It was Herman, one of the 10,000
Other Jews that were
Jews.
crucified.
Herman. Look, it's Herman.
Herman.
This is my great, 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 great grandfather Herman.
Is he the one who invented hermeneutics or?
That was good. I like that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, people, I don't think it gets too much clearer than that. We have
I don't see how
straight out
you
of
can.
Vayikra, Moshe, God is using Moshe to say, you do not partake in interpreting omens or telling fortunes. That's
No,
exactly what osteomancy is.
they can
Divination
have it.
using bones.
They can
So,
have it.
mhm.
Not you.
I mean,
Not the
let's
Jews.
put this in a real world, like a little bit more real world. Like if you looked at that and showed it to the guy next to you, said, "Hey, look, it's the crucifix. This means Jesus," and that person then becomes a Christian. How is that not fortune telling using a bone? Like,
And how is it not,
you know,
you know, any different from what the pagans themselves were doing here?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So I do believe there's one more slide.
Okay,
Maybe not. Nope, that's it.
good.
Yep.
Because it's just so obvious to me. And of course, it's that veil, the veil over my mind that prevents me from seeing the truth in my own scriptures.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Judaism never developed the stuff that I'm aware of. Okay. We had plenty of other weird things, and we have plenty of other superstitious things. Okay. Because every religion has its folk community. where they have folk remedies and they have folk superstitions and all
Right,
this
right.
stuff. I'm not
Yeah,
saying it
yeah.
doesn't exist, okay, but I don't remember, like I said earlier today, people having a box that has the bones of Moses in it,
Hmm.
right? And you know how thrilled Christianity got when they found a grave that had something like Joshua the son of Joseph or something written on the side
Yeah. Yep.
of the
The,
bone box.
the Talpiot tomb. Yeah.
Yeah, and oh, here we got it. It's like they're so weak with their
Why would
faith.
they be excited about that? That would literally destroy their religion. Like if
Then
there's
we're not
bones,
talking. Then we're not talking about the same thing.
yeah, we have
Oh,
the Talpiot tomb. If there's bones inside of the ossuary, then he wasn't taken up into heaven.
that's right.
The dude's
That's
dead and
very
he's in the
true.
box.
You're
Like,
absolutely right. I never
that
thought about
destroys
that.
their own religion.
You're totally
Sure, find the
correct.
tomb.
Right.
That actually
Yeah.
ruins your
He was
claims.
supposed to be brought bodily up to heaven.
Yeah. So why would they be excited for that? They think
Right.
they want to bury that.
That,
You would
that's
if there's
that's
bones
funny.
inside the box, you're in real trouble.
Yep. That's true.
So unless you side with Paul and believe it was simply just a spiritual resurrection. But even still, that annihilates 99% of modern Christianity. So
Yeah. Clinging to stuff because they got to have the constant validation of their faith.
yep.
You know, I validate my faith every time I decide what I'm going to put in my mouth.
Right.
I validate my connection with God every time I decide that I'm not going to go do something because it is Shabbat and my Creator commanded me not to.
Right. Oh, but also, Rabbi, you said it's your blinded eyes, the veils over your eyes, right? Well,
Right.
this crucifix fish is a catfish. It's an unkosher fish.
Oh,
So
oh,
how
that's
would you
exactly
ever have
right.
even had the chance
That
to
is
see it anyhow? It's not like you'd
that's
be eating one.
that exactly right. You remind me. We talked about this earlier from Ezekiel 14.
Yes, yes.
Okay, and it's talking about people who set up their idols within their heart, and that's exactly what they're doing. They cling to these images, these
Omens.
omens. They cling to these omens. They put up the idol in their heart because their faith is actually so weak.
Well, I
It's
mean,
like
it has to be. Honestly, though, consider, you and I were engaging in a little, not so much a debate, but just a person just beating us over the head with their beliefs.
oh God,
And
yeah,
but let's think like the biblical literacy does not exist. Like they read this stuff on the internet, or they
they have a
find
met.
some fringe off the wall minister who sends them a PDF, and now
Right,
they think they know everything about the Bible, but they don't even know basic Torah law, like
Steve.
at a basic level.
If you read some of these messianic misquote of the month magazines, and that's what they are, messianic misquote of the month magazines, where they send new revelation. We found this in it's just amazing, and they quote it and they start telling the Jews what we should be believing, how we should understand the Bible when they don't know an aleph from a bet,
Right.
a gimel from a dalet. They don't know anything about the Hebrew language, but they're going to tell us how to interpret and translate and understand our own scripture.
Right.
Like we haven't been doing this for 3,700 years, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the arrogance of ignorance.
It's pretty pathetic, eh?
It's an arrogance that can only come from that kind of ignorance. All right. Don't know anything else.
Any final remarks?
No, just thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, of course. Always. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure, my friend.
Mine too.
But yeah, everybody, feel free to screenshot these notes, or if you guys want, I can start putting our presentations in the description, the slides, if it seems to help you guys out.
Not a bad idea.
But yeah, I think this is
more work, but yeah, it's probably a good idea.
Just in conclusion, really, I think this is extremely clear. Like I said, let's go back up. Let's go back up to the top. What I initially responded, I found it humorous that people base their faith on fish anatomy rather than the Holy Scriptures. I mean, you can sum this entire thing up with that.
You're right.
It just shows a lack of true biblical support for the Christian claim. If you are having to resort to reading the skull of a fish to show you that your religion is true, but you can't resort to, the Torah from Sinai, right?
Steve, have you ever seen one of these rather large tow trucks, and they have a
Kinds that like tow tractor trailers.
or pretty big trucks?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, on the back of the truck, they have their metal equipment that gets underneath the automobile truck or whatever and lifts it up so it can be towed.
Yep.
It's a cross. It must be Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. I remember when I was a Christian, I thought I was so clever. I have like a knack for graphic design. It's like something I enjoyed messing around with and doing.
Yeah.
But I remember I was still in the church. I was acting as youth minister, and I made like a logo for the little youth ministry, right? And there was a T in the name of the youth ministry, and I made the T a cross, right? So does
Okay.
that mean like every time I see a T when I'm reading a book, oh, a cross, that like because
Steve, they
you know?
did they do that with the Hebrew letters too.
Mm,
I forgot which letter it is, but there's a Hebrew. I'm sorry, there's a what do they call it? Proto Hebrew or
Paleo Hebrew.
Paleo. That's it, Paleo Hebrew. And the Paleo Hebrew, one letter I think in the Paleo Hebrew looks like a cross, and then it's Jesus, it's Christianity. Same basic idea, same thing you're talking about.
Is that the paleo version of the Aleph?
It could be. I can't remember which one of the letters is, but it's a different topic. But it assumes that Hebrew, as Hebrew, was ever a hieroglyphic or what's the other word? Hieroglyphic or another word, which Hebrew never was. When Hebrew developed, it was purely phonetic.
Right.
Okay, pictograph.
Well,
Pictograph. It's either a hieroglyphic or a pictograph, and it's neither.
Yeah, and I mean the whole what they call Paleo Hebrew, whether it's the what's that called, Ashuri script, or the
I don't remember.
Whether it's the script you would read in like a Torah scroll now, or what they call Paleo Hebrew, the words are exactly the same. Like what
but they
the
don't
letters look
want
a little
to.
different,
They want to take
you know?
each letter of a word, turn it into a pictograph or hieroglyphic. Pictograph, I think, is more accurate of statement. And then each word has a sentence in it. If you take each letter and make it symbolic for something,
Gotcha.
So I can't remember. To make up an example is probably not accurate, but they'll say an Aleph originally looked like a cow. A cow pulled the plow. Therefore, the cow represents strength. So a word that has an Aleph in it is the word strength or strong. Is in the. It's just ridiculous.
Yo, you said that. Listen, I was speaking with a former Christian. I wouldn't even really call him my friend, but we knew each other growing up. He's a Christian minister now. You literally just quoted him verbatim. Like, I want to know what website he was reading that junk off of. Like, saying about how the Paleo Aleph means strength because it's the head of a bull and all that.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, like, you can't even read it. So what? Like, what are you talking to me about? Like, if I put 10 Hebrew words in front of you, only one of us is reading it. You know what I mean? So,
Steve, and then they'll turn around and tell us that they know it better than we do. It's an
I'm not
arrogance.
a professional Hebrew scholar or anything like that.
Yeah,
but
well,
I can read it pretty decent,
I
So
wouldn't say I'm a scholar, but I used to be pretty good in my youth. Now I can't remember my own name, but so.
well, just look at your book. You'll see it on there if you ever forget.
Yeah.
But all right, everybody. I hope this cleared some things up. Hope it showed directly from the Torah how these type of comments. Also, keep in mind, people, your comments aren't safe. So if you want to leave something stupid on my comment section, you might end up as the topic of the next video.
Yeah, really. That's fine.
Yeah. But all right, Rabbi, one final time, Rabbi Stuart Fredero, author of Judaism and Christianity: A Contrast.
Thank you.
Yep, linked in the description, and the image of the book will be in the intro, which if you watched the video, you would have seen that already. But yeah, so till next time, I'm Steve Eisenhower. This was the Exodus Project, and we'll see you next time, guys.
See you later.